the term 86, is used in the restaurant context and has been put on, T-shirts against previous presidents. And throughout my career, I've never heard 86 be used for any type of intent to kill or assassinate someone.
Importantly, that was former CIA Director John Brennan on this program saying in his career he has never heard of the term 86 being used as a threat to anyone's life. He was, of course, talking about the now deleted Instagram post from former FBI Director Jim Comey. It's a photo of shells on a beach with the message that spells out 8647. It drew immediate accusations from Trump allies that Comey was calling for violence against the 47th president. Now, we did a little bit of research, and 86 is a term that originated in the restaurant industry. In fact, at an historic New York establishment, Chumley's, according to a profile in The New Yorker, Chumley's is, quote, the birthplace of the term 86th, derived from the back door at 86 Bedford Street, through which patrons were advised to skedaddle when the police were en route. Now, in politics, more recently, it's been used as a message of resistance. Matt Gaetz, remember him? He was Trump's first pick to be the country's attorney general. Well, that would-be attorney general posted last year on social media this, quote, we've now 86'd McCarthy, McDaniel, McConnell. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer appeared in an interview during the 2020 campaign with 8645 displayed behind her on a pin. It's been deployed by Republican politicians and Democratic politicians alike. But the former FBI director's use of the term 86 has sparked something totally different, totally new, unprecedented, an investigation by the Trump administration into him and it. Since we first reported on this story on Friday, Comey was interviewed by the U.S. Secret Service. He appeared voluntarily at the Washington field office. The reason why Comey is facing a criminal investigation, we believe, from what we've seen publicly, is because of this accusation from Trump that's been echoed by his cabinet widely and publicly.
He knew exactly what that meant. A child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear.
Joining us now, former FBI Director Jim Comey. He's also the author of a new legal thriller, FDR Drive, a crime novel. It's out tomorrow, and we'll get to that. But we start here. You are back in the middle of a political firestorm.
Yeah, for walking on the beach with my wife. So I don't know how we ended up here. It never occurred to me that it was any kind of controversial thing, but that's the time we live in.
So take me back to the walk on the beach.
We were walking on the beach. We went to the beach to prepare for this week, which was the launch of my book, and to think about the book and to prepare to answer questions about it. And we were walking back towards the road, and we saw in the sand someone had arranged shells with numbers. And Patrice, my wife, said, why would someone put an address in the sand? And I said, I don't know. And we stood over it, and I said, I think it's some kind of like political message. And she said, 86, when I was a server, she did a lot of work in restaurants, meant to remove an item from the menu when you ran out of ingredients. And I said, well, to me, as a kid, it always meant to leave a place, to ditch a place. I said, that's really clever. So then she said, you should take a picture of that. And I did. And I posted it on my Instagram account and thought nothing more of it until I heard through her that people were saying it was some sort of a call for assassination, which is crazy. But I took it down. Even if I think it's crazy, I don't want to be associated with violence of any kind.
And then what happened?
I got a call from the Secret Service that night asking if I would speak to them about it. Of course. I admire the Secret Service. They're pros. I spoke to them on the phone. Then they asked the next day when I got home, would I be willing to come in and meet them in person at the Washington field office, which again I did, and they were pros again.
Between posting the picture and getting a call from the Secret Service, did you have any sort of gut check of like, well, they've audited me in an extraordinary way. I was under investigation for years after he fired me. Like, did you have any regret about posting the picture?
Well, I regret the distraction and the controversy around it. But again, it's hard to have regret about something that, even in hindsight, looks to me to be totally innocent for the reasons you said. But yeah, I didn't have a gut check. In the Trump era, I've been investigated a lot, audited a lot, and so it's not my first rodeo. I'm in some strange way the relationship he can't get over, maybe because I've lived a happy, productive life since leaving. But this has just been a distraction in that life.
Tell us about, take us through all of the ways he sought to investigate you. He's been tweeting about investigating you and prosecuting you, I think, since 2017, shortly after he fired you.
I think that's right, and I intentionally don't keep track of these things, but he has, and I hope no one will, but he has dozens of times called for me to be incarcerated and accused me of all manner of things, and I was investigated repeatedly in a variety of different ways. In his first term, I went through the mother of all IRS audits, which cost me thousands of dollars, but I got a $347 refund at the end. Turns out I had overpaid my taxes. But just again and again and again, I really thought that I was done. I was in another life. I was a grandfather and an author wearing, sweaters and jeans. And then I went for a walk on the beach and posted a silly picture of shells that I thought was a clever way to express a political viewpoint. And actually, I still think it is. I don't see it the way some people are still saying it is. But again, I don't want any part of any violence. I've never been associated with violence, and so that's why I took it down.
So your position, even after all of this, the Secret Service calling you and bringing you in for questioning, is that the phrase, the message on the shells, was political speech and is political speech?
Yeah, by somebody. I actually didn't think of it as political speech by me, but I thought, what a clever way to express a political view. The shells were the same color for each of the letters, so different colors for the letters. It took a lot of work. Somebody with artistic flair did that, and I have a hard time believing it was anybody with a dark intention, and it certainly was no dark intention on my part, on my spouse's part.
I have to ask you this. I mean, this cabinet is made up of totally different people. There is someone atop the national intelligence communities who said this.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do. Any other person with the position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be, I'm very concerned for the president's life. We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life. And James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and put behind bars for this.
So she's the head. She sits atop all of the intelligence agencies in this country. And I wonder what you thought and what you think people around the world thought when they saw that.
I hope people know enough about that particular person that they understand where it's coming from. It says something more depressing about the leadership of our current administration. And I just shrug, because that's ridiculous.
Does it make you scared?
No.
Why?
Well, it's not my first rodeo. I would hate something like this, or the audit, or all the investigations, to happen to someone who doesn't have my experience, because I look at it and I think there's another one of those. But when it's one of the real problems we have in this country right now is the use of the president's power aiming at individuals who don't have my background or experience, like a Chris Krebs or any others that have been targeted, law firms being targeted. This is a real problem that people should not look past. My thing, to me, and I hope to everybody else, is just a distraction that goes away in a weekend, but there's something much more important going on here. The use of power to aim at individuals eroding the rule of law.
So that was the top of the country's intelligence agency. She sits atop the head of the CIA and the NSA. The person who sits atop the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, has really refused to do any of Trump's political bidding. Do you worry that the last time you were sort of harassed, people like Bill Barr and Rod Rosenstein were there, and now it's Pam Bondi plus basically everyone who's defended Donald Trump in a criminal context over the last 4 years?
Yes, a very different crew. The last group had people who were flexible but had some institutionalist principles, they all ran for the hills, as you would expect after January 6th. And now it's Four Seasons total landscaping all the way down. So you don't have people who are interested in standing up for institutional values. They work for the president. And that's concerning. It's actually short-sighted for a president to have people around him like that, because he can't look to an institution if the American people start worrying about a set of facts and say they'll handle it in a fair way, because he's made clear now they're all his people.
Do you worry that his people will not treat you fairly now that you're under scrutiny?
Sure, but we live in a reality-based world where people, if they're going to make accusations, have to make them in front of judges, have to put evidence forward, have to swear that things are true. I believe in our judiciary. I believe in that one remaining leg of our three-legged stool. That independent judiciary is alive and well and gives me great comfort.
Is that what you think will backstop whatever comes at you from the Trump Justice Department?
Sure. I wouldn't expect anything to come at me from the shell business, but anything that did come at me, if I get more audits, more investigations, yes. Our saving grace, we still have a leg on our stool. If we lose that, I don't know where we are, but we have judges appointed by all different presidents of different parties who believe in the rule of law. And if you come into their courtroom, heaven help you if you're not telling the truth. That still exists in this country and should be a source of great comfort.